Oh, what's that, Mr. Ricardo? You want to restore the colonial empire of Portugal? Well, you came to the right place. That's right, we're playing extra white today as none other than the best colonial nation. Now, if we get 3,000 likes on this video, we'll do a brand new Two Sicilies campaign. It's been years since I played as Two Sicily, the strongest of the Italian nations. And if you're planning on getting the National Awakening DLC, make sure to use my link. I would really appreciate it. And don't forget to also subscribe for eternal salvation. In 1836, Portugal starts off as a shadow of its former self, having lost the Brazilian colony, the main source of income for Portugal, a couple of decades ago. It really is struggling. Not able to even have a positive income is absolutely pathetic. Only 6 million population, of which 2 or so million are within our African colonies, but that actually is not the worst thing, because speaking of the African colonies, the Portuguese still have a lot of colonial potential. We do have both sides of Africa covered with colonies, as well as we have the Indonesian parts, namely the little foothold on Sunda Islands, and more importantly the treaty port of Macau, which will allow us entrance into Qing, where we all know we basically have infinite population and resources from. That being said, it is going to be a long way till we get there, so we're going to have to take it step by step. First off, we're going to have to go for some industrial researches. Water tube boilers should be prioritized so we can actually industrialize, and then we can do our classic El Salvador society researches. We are part of the quadruple alliance between France, Spain, Great Britain, and ourselves, so we have nothing to fear from anyone right now. The British are allowed to build within our country a part of this treaty, and we're actually going to try and get more nations to build in our country if possible. The Americans are more likely to do the same thing. There you go, we can get a treaty with them from day one. We do have some insane shortages of basically everything, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a cooling workshop done in Extremadura, and then afterwards we're just gonna be spamming logging camps, some cotton plantations, and we'll see what we do as we progress. Decree wise, we're doing social mobility and road maintenance wherever it is required, so basically in our 3 main states within the European continent for now. Legislation wise, we surprisingly have a decent set of legislations. We're gonna go for cultural exclusion because we will have a lot of our population not primary culture. In fact, 90% of our population or more will be not primary culture, so we need good citizenship laws unless we want to have the whole country collapse. How do they decline that? I had 90% chance. They declined a treaty with 90% chance. What is this game? Seriously. As of the more recent patch, Gaza starts off as an extremely strong nation, 23 battalions from day one, so it's going to be a bit more challenging, but we're still attacking them first so we can unify the entirety of the Lorenzo Marquez state. And since we are on the topic of states within Africa, we can start establishing some states here. We're going to go with a state in South Cameroon and another one in the Windward Coast for now. The problem is that we only have 250 or so thousand reserves at the start of the campaign, and every single colony requires 100,000 to build the port, so we cannot just establish colonies everywhere anymore like we could in previous patches. It's a little bit more difficult now. It is crazy. I actually cannot even sustain a single construction sector. I'm going to delete the construction sector or we're going to go super high in the red. And for that matter, the mana wars are also a big problem, so we're going to delete those as well. There we go. We managed to get our hold of the entirety of the Lorenzo Marquez state. We're not stopping there though. We are going to continue expanding. Next target is Zulu. We want to have the entire coastline of Africa, so, or as much of the coastline of Africa, so we prevent other nations from rivaling us in the future. If we manage to get at least the Central African parts, or as much of that as possible, then later in the campaign, when we have the proper researches done, we'll be able to colonize what likely will be the major supply of rubber of the world, so most nations will have to rely on us for their rubber imports, making us filthy rich in the process. Now, these two wars are extremely easy, but as you probably noticed, our economy is already basically dead. We're gonna have to go back on medium taxation here and pray G that we somehow don't economically collapse, because it is not great, guys. Boom shakalaka, another day, another African nation eliminated. Hey, we actually managed to get to consideration phase with cultural exclusion. We might pass this. We do have one setback though, so let's see. And ascent phase. Okay, this actually will pass. That's crazy. You know what else is crazy? Our shortages. We literally are missing every single thing imaginable. I'm gonna queue up a paper mill just because I need a paper mill, and I'm also queuing up arms industry. We're gonna need significantly more iron mines as well. And there you go, boys. Cultural exclusion. That is actually huge. So that means now most of our pops are gonna have at least 20 acceptance, bringing them from violent hostility to cultural erasure citizenship rank or status in society. That's crazy. We actually have 54% of our country on the violent hostility rank. Holy schnitzel. Kind of funny how out of all nations, it's Portugal that is really well suited for playing wide, considering it's a 3-province minor basically. You would imagine this is a great playing tall nation, but no, it is a horrible playing tall nation. In fact, it is built for playing wide. It's the only chance it has. There we go. We got our little foothold in Yemen now as well. Oh, and France would like to build in our country too. Why the hell not? Let's go for it. Brother, what? We actually went to consideration phase? Ain't no freaking way. I'm also gonna just max out the logging camps we have in Portugal. Look at that. Exactly what I was saying before. We can have a maximum of 5, 2, and 4 logging camps. There's basically nothing, brother. Literally nothing in this freaking country. You have to go colonial. It is crazy how bad this nation is. Doesn't surprise me why the Portuguese historically have in fact we went to ascension phase. What the hell is going on in this run? What the hell is going on here, buddy? Okay. I'm actually getting a little bit excited. I was like half thinking if I should just restart, because look at this. This is pathetic, man. We already have 400,000 principal. It is crazy. Now with Oman, I am going to try and take as much as possible from them. If I manage to get these little footholds in the Middle East next to Persia and Afghanistan, that would be absolutely amazing actually. Now they might back down, which I hope they don't, because I would like to take Zanzibar as well, but you know, it is what it. Oh god, we failed homesteading. Come on, man. I thought we had a great start and it ended up being just another regular dog schnapple Portuguese start. Come on. This is painful. Not as painful as it's gonna be for Oman though. That's right, we're grabbing their juicy lands in Africa, boys, and their homelands. They're gonna be left with just Bandar Legengi. That's exactly how you pronounce that, in case you're wondering. I'm really good at pronouncing stuff, clearly. We got also atmospheric engine pump, so we can change to this and we can get a coal mine in Alentejo. Probably not a bad idea to change our textile mills as well now, and we can go rough iron tools for the tooling workshop. There we go, boys. Continuous expansion. 10 million population. Absolutely amazing. How many of these are Portuguese, by the way? 3 million out of 10. That is rookie numbers. Like I said, 90% are not going to be Portuguese. Oh wait, these are majority Bedouin. I didn't know that. I thought it would be like Yemeni and stuff in this area, but actually Yemenis is predominantly in Cassimids. The rest of Yemen is predominantly Bedouin. Wow. I did leave the Cassimids for last in this area, as they are the stronger of the nations here. They actually have a proper army, so we're gonna meet our match perhaps. Probably not. They are still irregular units. They do have a cannon. I don't know how they managed to get their hands on a cannon though. Now, as you would imagine, I don't actually want to directly hold on to these provinces. That would not be ideal. But we're gonna make some puppets here. We're gonna release subjects. I would love to release Yemen, but we don't have nationalism researched yet. So instead, I'm just gonna release whatever I feel like would be the best option here. Maybe Kathiri. Yeah, why not Kathiri? We're gonna release him as a subject country, and we're gonna go back to our subjects. They are a little bit disloyal right now. They do hate our guts because we have quite a bit of infamy, 25 infamy already. However, we'll be improving relations with them once we get a bit more influence, and more importantly, we're gonna give them some states. We're gonna give them all of the adjacent states. All of Oman's gonna be theirs. All of Yemen's gonna be theirs. And why did I do this? Well, if we go over to Kathiri, some of you probably already know, whenever you release a nation, they get a copy paste of your legislation, and them having cultural exclusion, interventionism, tenant farmers, slavery banned means we don't need to stress about passing all these laws in their country, which would be an absolute nightmare. Also, they are a puppet, so we also make a little bit of money off of that too. They're not giving us too much money, but better than nothing. Would have been more of a drain otherwise, keeping on to these provinces. We literally managed to lose 2.5 thousand expenses from giving Kathiri ownership over these provinces, basically. Allow Austria to build in. Everybody wants to build in my country. It's almost as if they all know that I am really backwards. We're also going to be doing an invasion into Bahrain and Nejd before the Ottomans do, so we can give it over to our little subject. Wait, what? They actually backed down and they just gave me the province? Brother, now I have to wait for the truce to finish with Nejd? Oh my god. That's annoying because I'm like 90% sure by the time the truce is over, Nejd is going to be eaten up by the Ottomans. Well, Kathiri, lucky you get to keep 2 more delicious provinces and you get to have a big old name on the map. Look at that. Beautiful. Who would have thought this run is not even about Portugal? No, you got lied to. It's really about Kathiri. It was always about Kathiri all along. I love how they're incorporating states in like 24 months or something because it's their primary culture and stuff. The Bedouins have returned. They're here to stay. In fact, they never left really. We do have to make our presence heard once more in South America, so easiest path to do that is to just invade Uruguay, which borders both Argentina and Brazil, nations that we want to get our hands on. If we were to do a naval invasion of both of these now, we would fail big time. So getting Uruguay, which only has 4 soldiers and they're basically not even properly organized, is a piece of cake, and then we can use our significantly bigger sized army to attack Argentina and company, as we will have a direct border, as you'd imagine. I'm actually not sure if Uruguay was ever owned by Portugal. Pretty sure this was always under Spanish control, but it's about time we made some changes in this part of the world, isn't it? All right, now we can station all of our soldiers in Uruguay so we can do the invasion of Argentina. And we also just got per capita taxation, massively improving our economic situation. We're up to 20,000. Oh my god, such a massive advantage. Unbelievable. Who would have thought? That's pretty pathetic, I know, but we'll get there, don't worry. Starting phase of Portugal is just really bad. So let's go ahead and get a construction sector in Alentejo now. Feel like we can probably handle one, and it's going to be, of course, an iron frame construction sector from day one. Now we have to become a major power in order to invade Argentina, so we paid for government wages and maxed out our military wages temporarily. Now that we are a major power, we can do the protectorate enforcement on the Argentinians, bring our soldiers by the border, boom shakalaka, and set our strategic objective, which will be their capital, keep it as such, and we should basically win easy peasy. I did have to get some extra frigates in order to increase my prestige to become a major power, so keep that in mind. Right now we're sitting at 73 prestige, most of which is because of the army and naval power projection than anything else. Chile joined on the side of the Argentinians. I'm not surprised by that at all. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make Chile a protectorate as well, and I really hope they don't back out of this actually, because they might. They got fearful. Ooh, please don't back down. Let's go. They did not. The back is down, Icus. All right, so Spain withdrew from the treaty with us. Oh, that is not good. Let's see. Spain, do you still want to be my friend? I'll give you investment rights so you can build up my country for me. No, you don't want to do that? Oh, trade privileges, what I wanted to do. 52% chance of them accepting that. Come on. Of course they denied. Of course they denied. Why would they ever accept a good deal? Take note, if during this war you become a minor power, you lose your major power rank, you will not be able to enforce on these nations. So that's why we're on very high government wages and very high military wages until we finish the war against Chile and Argentina, just so we make sure we enforce on both of them. Does seem like we're gonna have to do a naval invasion against the Chileans, unfortunately, because the truce kind of screwed over most of our plans here. So let's go, naval invasionicus. Our investment pool is actually doing pretty good. We're up to 13 million pounds investment pool because we have 42,000 reinvestment. Remember that we actually have pretty decent laws from day one interventionism, so we do have a big chunk of investment pool gathering from the start of the campaign. That means we should be able to use some of that construction sector for the private sector. Now we got some trade centers being built by the private sector. We're gonna make sure that they build up our country a little bit too. Now they have to use up those 13 mil as consequence, and it seems like we've basically gotten our foothold in Chile. As long as we hold on to Santiago, we should be able to enforce on them as well. I'm gonna go for, I don't even know what. Dedicated police force has like 0 chance of passing also. Maybe it's census suffrage. Screw it. Let's get some actual democracy in here. All right, we got another tooling workshop, so maybe we can afford a 3rd construction sector. Also notice that Peru-Bolivia tends to lose North and South Peru a lot as of the more recent patches. Again, in this save game also, they seem to have lost North and South Peru for some reason. Next area of the world we need to get a foothold in is Dahomey. I want to create something similar to what I did with Kathiri, annex all of these little Schnitzeldorfs here and release one of them and feed that nation as much as possible of the West African parts, because eventually this is all going to fall under the control of the French, of the British, if we don't act right now. And yes, I am very aware of the fact that if we were to just puppet all of these areas, we would take about 3 times less infamy, but it's a small price to pay, this extra infamy, when it compared to the fact that we don't need to stress about them having revolutions every 5 freaking seconds afterwards, because that's what's gonna happen if you puppet these areas. You're gonna either struggle your ass off to pass legislation in these countries to make them viable, or you're gonna, you know, lose control over them altogether, or have to fight another great power that offers subjugation to the rebellious side. So it can happen. There we go. We got 2 more areas here: Togo, Ghana, and Dahomey. Now we're just gonna have to focus a little bit on building up our industry, because we've kind of been ignoring it, and it's not good. We're also going into the Afghanistan areas before the British realized that they forgot about this area of the world. Grabbing Afghanistan is really underrated, because there's a massive amount of opium here. That's pretty much the only major source of opium outside of Raj and Ching, and holding on to this means you can eventually become equal partners in the opium trade as the campaign progresses. Now we also have up to 100,000 now in national revenue, mostly because of our investment pool. We are currently at 31 million investment pool, and we're making 84,000 in reinvestment, so we really do need more actual construction sectors. Let's get another 4 of them. I guess we basically just need to build construction sectors, max out our construction sectors, and make sure we have the available iron, tools, and everything else necessary for the industry to work and function. We're also getting railways done in a second, and I'm going to start spamming universities, because I haven't done any universities. We only have right now 1 university, which is just pathetic. I'm going to do 9 of them from the get-go in Extremadura, and I'm going to do another few in the adjacent state for the extra qualifications, but mostly it's going to be just in our capital, the university. And there you go, we got railways, so we can out-click this, build it up in there, and then also we're going to need to have a motor industry available. Why not in the same state, since railways will require motors for input. The British caught on to what I was doing in Africa, and they already made Benin a protectorate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack Oyo to prevent that from keep on happening here, and Benin joined on the side of Oyo. So I'm going to, via the Benin War, I mean the Oyo War, annex Benin as well, as such getting rid of the British from this area altogether, because despite this being a protectorate of the British Empire, they can still be in a war with me without the British getting involved. So that's basically my way of screwing the British over and still being on their good side. It's a little bit of a sneaky schmeaky, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, sometimes you gotta do these kind of things. There you go. Look at all the beautiful Portuguese name on the map. End of the day, that's what it's about, right? Having your name big on the map. Jesus Christ, 100,000 reinvestment already. That's kind of insane. Kind of sucks that I have to get rid of all this GDP from Africa when I create my African nations. I'm gonna be like freaking 5-6 million GDP, whatever I've got in Portugal, which is like nothing. Oh man, I kind of feel like I want to keep on to this now, but we don't want to struggle with this, do we now? Only way we could prevent struggling is if we passed multiculturalism, but to do that, first off, we need to have human rights researched, and then we need to have some support for this, which is not going to be actually we've got a lot of national movements. We got 29% support for this. Oh my dude, let me in fact rush for human rights. I think that's what I'm going to do now. If we manage to pass multiculturalism, we can hold on to all of our colonies in Africa directly. We can heck even incorporate these, and we can make a buttload of money off of owning directly Africa. That would be crazy to think about. Hey, we're also able to lower the autonomy of the Argentinians. That is pretty sweet. Oh, the first of many trade proposals, hopefully. The Dutch want to give us Ghana, which is 90,000 pops and 130,000 GDP for the Windward Coast, which is a lot less than that. I'm actually okay with that. Yeah, there you go. That's beautiful, because that way we get the entirety of the Ghana state for ourselves, and they get a big chunk of the Windward state, as much as possible, I guess. Most of this is still a part of the British Empire. Actually, considering that, I could do the same here and in this state. Basically, get a little chunk of these areas, which we can trade afterwards for maybe bigger chunks with these nations. Example here, we could say give this one little province of Kenya to the British in exchange for whatever else they might have that we'd be interested in. Hey, we also got census suffers. That's cool. That means we got political parties now, which means our government is in shambles. Of course it is. Oh, actually, I'm kind of surprised to see we got quite a lot of support for public schools, thanks to the intelligentsia. So we're going to attempt to pass that, get rid of that clergy influence. Also, check this out. We've got 44 buildings that the Austrians own. That is crazy. And we got 32 from the French. Oh my God, that's quite a lot of buildings. We could nationalize this when we get the money. Not now. We obviously don't have the money now. But yeah, I'm kind of happy to see the French and the Austrians did pull their weight and they decided they want to make Portugal great again. What the hell is going on in Europe, guys? What is this? North German Federation does not include Hanover, does not include Schleswig-Holstein. This is just disgusting right here. How on earth did this even happen? Now, I've got a Baluchistani movement. I'm not really happy with that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to release Baluchistan. As such, get rid of that movement altogether. And again, Baluchistan has my beautiful laws, and they are a very much so loyal puppet of ours. We also are going to continue to expand and make sure they get big and strong. Oh, hey, what was I saying? Exactly. Look at that. For little old Portuguese Kenya, they're willing to give us Gambia. Where the hell is Gambia? I don't even know where that is. Gambia is here. That is freaking massive. Holy shit. We got the entirety of Gambia, 1.6 million population and 300,000 GDP for just one province of Kenya. I absolutely love the treaties I'm getting with these nations and the fact that I'm definitely getting the bigger straw out of it. All right, now we have enough construction for the private sector. You judge that by hovering over here and seeing if the new construction matches the reinvestment. If the new construction is around the same or a little bit above, that means you've got a decent amount of construction for the private sector. Now, if we were to build for government, we would need to have more than this, obviously. I'll leave it like this for now. Let the private sector build up my country a tiny bit whilst I focus on diplomacy and wait for my coffers to go up a little bit too. Maybe afterwards with the reserves that we get, we can nationalize some of the foreign buildings. I always get surprised when Paraguay decides to fight, but then I take a look back at history and realize that Paraguay is that one nation that literally took on, despite its small size, the entirety of South America. I mean, these bad boys fought against Argentina, Brazil, Bolivia on their own, pretty much, okay? It is crazy. They almost won. Maybe they didn't win, but, you know, just saying, they were pretty freaking ballsy, if you ask me. They also lost, like, half of their population in that war, which is pretty bad, but still, you gotta respect it. Yay, we got public schools, which means now we can focus on perhaps passing proportional taxation. Let's see who would support this. The trade unions only. Ooh, that's gonna be tough. I'm gonna try and go for dedicated police force because we got quite a lot of support for it now. We'll see what we do about proportional taxation after the Bolivian war. Oh, they just backed down. Okay, fair enough. Oh, I just realized Argentina actually managed to grab a big chunk of the southern tip. Usually they just give up on this, but they got a really big chunk, and the borders look absolutely disgusting. Wow, that is not pretty, that's for sure. Did we just get embargoed by Brazil? What? I wasn't able to grab everything from Kandahar because the northern bits was a little bit too much infamy, and I like to use that infamy for other parts of the world, but I did grab a tiny bit more, and now we're gonna give that to Baluchistan, making them stronger. And mostly I did that because if I didn't, the Persians likely would have just attacked this area regardless. I'm gonna make Persia a subject too. I just need to wait for my infamy to go down a bit more. Where is Balubidan? Balubidan, you need to get Balubistan. There you go. That's all of Balubistan is yours. And northern Balubistan. Wait, is that actually called northern Baluchistan? It is. I had no idea there is that many of these. Wait, what is this called? Bampur. Okay. I'm a little bit confused here because I know I also have my own colonies, and namely the little treaty ports in India. Gujarat with Goa, I think. Bombay or Goa would be the proper term, right? Goa was a Portuguese colony up until very recently, and I know a lot of Indians from Goa that speak Portuguese actually. So that's one little piece of history not many people know about, that the Portuguese were definitely involved in the Indian subcontinent, although not as much as the British, of course. The French were also involved. We got the little Carnatic port, and even the Dutch have a little treaty port in Carnatic too. I'm actually curious if you guys want me to do a British Raj campaign or East India campaign. I haven't done one yet on the channel. I just realized I haven't played as them since the patch came out, actually the previous patch, not this one. We're also up to 200,000 now, and we got 2 million in assets. So actually I'm gonna start privatizing a little bit. Nationalizing, not privatizing. The British actually managed to get a lot of buildings in my country now, so I feel like maybe nationalizing the British buildings wouldn't be the worst idea. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We also have a lot more of a reinvestment fund. We're up to 136,000 now. So out of all the interest groups possible, guess which one supports proportional taxation? It's the freaking landowners. That's because of Victor van Rijthoff, who is a modernizer and also in charge of the landowners. So right now I'm using the landowners to properly modernize the country, which is the most ironic thing ever. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit pissed because the The second that I started passing proportional taxation, the leader of the landowners died. Oh, I have to settle for restricting child labor now. I guess it's my constellation law right now. Brother, the RNG is not with me in this one, that's for sure. I guess on the bright side, the British stopped their guarantee of Transvaal and Orion, so we're gonna attack both of them because this is just free money right here. Oh, dude, we're close to catching up on the Austrians. We're above the Ottomans, which I believe failed their Tanzimats. Yes, they did. I could tell because Tunis and Tripoli is free, as are everybody else that we used to be a subject of theirs, which means I probably should make them my subjects now. Not the worst idea, since there's going to be oil in Tripoli especially, and I think Tunis has quite a lot of resources too. Look at that, 48 sulfur mines, juicy. We also have a ton of buildings owned by the various British nations, so I'm just going to go ahead and privatize all of those. And when I say privatize, I really just mean nationalize. I don't know why I keep saying privatize when I mean nationalize. The problem we have is that we don't yet have proportional taxation, so we're not giving any dividends tax, so it's pretty bad. We really need to switch to proportional. It literally will double our economy once we do so. And I'm going to continue to get some more universities too. We're actually getting a surprisingly high amount of migrants because of the fact that we got cultural exclusion. Right now we still have barely anyone on full acceptance. We've got not many on violent hostility though, which is good, but majority of our population, 70% of our population, is on cultural erasure. If we go to cultures, Portuguese is only 4.75 million. The rest is everybody in Africa and some Europeans mixed in. This is one of the most multicultural nation I've ever played as. I hate having Hausa as a subject because they got some of the worst legislation imaginable, but directly taking all 5 of these states is like 80 infamy, so I'd rather just pay like 17 or whatever than 80 freaking infamy. It's a massive difference. Some cases it's okay to just get Schnitzeldorf nations, sadly. It's gonna be the same with the Persians. Even though they got bad legislation, it's better to just puppet them, obviously. And now we've officially overtaken the Canadians, I mean the Francos as well. We're right behind the Russians and the Americans, which I'm confident we can overtake too. The Americans did really good in this run though. They genuinely just flat out took all of the US really easy. They even got Alaska from the Russians, and Germany just formed. I don't know why they got this bug where you see the German flag just black and not the regular one. That's been happening a lot. Has that been happening for you guys too? I'm curious. 138 million GDP in Germany alone is wild though. Holy mother, guys. Also, I'm trying to keep my infamy around 49 or basically just below 50 pretty much for this whole campaign. That's why I'm slowly pushing into one part or another. I'm not going up crazy numbers like 100 infamy and such. Taking my time with it, but yeah, keeping it below 50 also means that my subjects are gonna stay very loyal, as above 25 is only 10 infamy, above 50 is 25 infamy, 0.25 liberty desire, I mean not infamy, so it's a big difference. This way I don't need to stress about it at all. All right, we are also able now to get proportional taxation thanks to the trade unions, which have gotten a little bit of extra clout. We actually managed to put them in the government now, albeit as an unaccepted government, better than nothing. Hey, we've also officially become a great power now, so we are the world's 7th great power, right behind the Italians, above the French Republic. That is so shocking to me. What happened to France, man? They're down to 38 million GDP. They lost a buttload of GDP for some reason. Oh, it's because they released Senegal, and I guess they gave a lot of the GDP to Senegal, didn't they? Yeah, they did. Okay. Something interesting just happened. The Metternich system dissolved, and we got the Universal League instead of it now, which is basically just Austria. It's a military treaty also. What the hell? And the Italians took over, I believe, the Metternich system, which is now the Grand Alliance. Yeah, it is in fact the old Metternich system, the ideological union, renamed to the Grand Alliance, still having the Austrian flag and stuff. What on earth is happening in this game? Let's go, boys! Okay, it's time to privatize all of our buildings. So we managed to go from a little old Schnippeldorp of Portugal to one of the greatest nations and restore fully our colonial empire enterprise. If you enjoy this Portuguese run and you want to see more Vicky 3 videos, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And let me know what you like me to do when 1.1 patch comes out. What would be your favorite nation? Since we're talking about 1.10, why don't you use my link in description below to get the DLC if you're planning on purchasing it? I get a commission and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next